From KPRC2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
Good morning and welcome to Houston Newsmakers. I begin this morning by telling you that the subject this morning will not be appropriate for the youngest children in your homes. This is Human Trafficking Prevention Month. I'll be having very frank discussions about what it is, who's impacted, and how long such impacts can last and what we all can do to make a difference and help stop it. We'll devote the first two segments this morning to that topic, and my guest has a unique perspective about this topic. Her name is Rachel Fisher. Good morning, Rachel. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, before we get going, I want the viewers to know a little bit about you. Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, certified by the Commission for Forensic Nursing, certified pediatric and adult sexual assault nurse examiner, a licensed private investigator. There are other qualifications which I will make available to all of you. Before we start this conversation today, though, Rachel, I want to ask you, what do you think the biggest misconception people have about human trafficking and the impact that it has on the victims?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question, but the main thing is the community tends to think of human trafficking as smuggling, right? People coming across borders. Human trafficking it's modern day slavery, right? It's people who are in a situation that they don't have a choice to get out of, which also that choice people say, well, can't they just leave? Isn't it their choice? And it's really not. And so it's a very complex issue that the community really needs more awareness on in order to be able to prevent it.
This sort of thing, Human Trafficking Prevention Awareness Month, it does go a little way, at least to bring some attention, although you do with this 365 days of the year. But it helps, I would guess, that people do take a moment to kind of understand a little bit more about what it's all about.
Correct. And it's good that we have this month to bring awareness and education, but there's also the aspect of once you know that there's an issue, what are you going to do about it and how can you?
I want people to know a little bit more about you and why you are so passionate about what's going on here and the experience that you had that got you to this point. You were one of the featured women in a recently released documentary. This is I started watching this, I could not take my eyes off of it. It's called Surviving Sex Trafficking. I want to watch a part of this documentary describing your childhood.
Rachel's father was the leader of a biker gang and prostituted women, including Rachel's mother. Her escape to foster care was short-lived as the family she was placed with only took in children to rape them. At 15, she tried to escape again, living on the streets, doing whatever she could to survive. But a phony modeling agency trafficked her and blackmailed her with photos, threatening to expose her secret life to her school. When she graduated, she finally got away to a remote college where she studied nursing.
We've always talked about the fact this is not about you. This is about helping others, helping victims get out. What was it about this sort of thing that allowed you to get out, and what do you tell others that they can do to also do the same?
Yeah, so for me, I was in the foster care system. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. So it was complex and every situation is unique. And again, that's my story, but that's just one of many. And there's so many voices who are still unheard. And so the reason I'm still talking, and when I got out of it, my voice echoes for those who are still fighting to get out of it and don't know that there is a what's next. So anybody who's still in the life, still in the game, we don't refer to it as human trafficking when we're out in it, you're hustling, but there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You just need to know that there is another road, because sometimes you can only see that road and that's all you know how to do.
Does your background give you a leg up in terms of getting some sort of relationship with people who you're trying to help?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of advocating with survivors and victims who are still in the life and just kind of meet them where they're at. People try to say, oh, let's rescue them, let's get them out and they're good, but it's much more complex than that. It's not just a rescue or recovery. It's taking the time to understand what got them there and what vulnerabilities they had so that when you do get them out, that you can meet those vulnerabilities so that they don't go right back in. It's a very complex process.
We had a conversation earlier, which, by the way, we could talk for hours because I can gain so much knowledge. And I want to right now say, I want to make sure that people know about this documentary that's on your website, which is a wealth of knowledge. Your website gives a lot of information. But one of the things you talked about is that education is a key, and that a lot of times a community needs to be educated. And that also means parents about their kids who don't want to have the conversation with their kids, and you say, you're better. Talk about the youngsters that you've encountered on the streets.
Yeah, so the average age is about 14 years old of entrance into trafficking. So we see a lot of teenagers, we see a lot of junior hires being pimped out and trafficked by the high schoolers, right? So it's children exploiting other children, and it's a learned behavior from our society from a lot of different factors. And so every school in Houston, I've taken care of patients from many schools, and it's local, it's here, it's happening, it's in rural communities. Nobody is exempt from it. It's a vulnerability that they are attracted to, and they go after that. It's not just one socioeconomic class, it's our kids in our schools.
Do you find the schools and or parents in the schools welcoming to your message of what you're trying to do, or is there a little bit of pushback about that?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of red tape. You know, parents don't want their children hearing about sex. It's a dirty word. People don't want to talk about it. But these kids in reality are on social media. They're hearing about this at 8 years old. And so even in elementary schools, we have people, kids, students exchanging sexual favors for various things. And it's because everybody's afraid to talk about it. So we're trying to get education into the schools, trying to get the parents to understand, and trying to be the first ones to talk to the kids about it, so you're not coming on the back end telling them what they're already doing is wrong.
So one of the unfortunate nicknames for Houston is as the hub of human trafficking, which sometimes refers to women who are brought here, sometimes it refers to people who are brought here and going through here to other locations, but there's enough homegrown trafficking to deal with it. Now, one of the young ladies in the documentary is from Houston. I want to take a moment and take a listen to Angela Williams is her name, caught in the trap at an early age.
Hi, my name is Angela Williams. I'm 35 years old from Houston, Texas. I grew up in a low-income Hispanic community and was targeted by my first trafficker, Andre McDaniels, when I was only 17 years old. Through a high school friend, he recruited me into a trafficking underworld in the disguise of a modeling opportunity. He groomed me, he broke me down, and he forced me into full-time stripping and prostitution.
She was 17, you know her, and you've seen, as in your role as a forensic nurse, you've seen victims younger than that.
Yes.
How heartbreaking is it to see that on a day-to-day basis?
It's devastating for me. I mean, I was 15 when I was in the life, and you see these kids, they're 12, 13 years old, but they don't know they're in a bad situation. That's the problem. They truly believe that they're in a relationship with their pimp or their trafficker. It's this Romeo Juliet love bombing, and so they don't think they're in a bad situation. I mean, they have a bad home life, and they're either running to something or from something, and our system is so broken that we don't take the time to ask what they're running to or running from. So these kids run and end up in a bad situation where they actually think that they're in love with their abuser.
You work with police in the efforts to fight human trafficking. I know one of the things that we often talk about is that when a woman tries to leave is the most dangerous part of it. There's video of Angela when she tried to leave and demonstrated some of the things that happened to her, and she was really, really beaten badly as she was trying to leave her pimp, who was the one who was responsible for keeping her. How important is it to make sure that when these physical wounds heal, that the mental wounds are still left and they have to heal as well?
Yeah, I always tell people that healing is not a moment, it's a process, it's a journey. And so you can get out of the life, you can recover a victim, whether it's male or female, but they're not just okay. They're not going to be okay ever. They're going to learn to function eventually, hopefully with the scars that they've endured, but it changes you as a person. It changes the way you think, the way you feel. And so it's a journey of healing. That's one of the things that this film really highlights, is that journey of the survivor. We put so much emphasis on the traffickers and the demand and the bad guys buying sex, but what about the victims that are ruined for life, and they have to constantly heal and look for different organizations to help them get through the next step?
We got more to talk about on this special edition of Houston Newsmakers, and this is Human Trafficking Prevention Month.